Hey guys, this is Miicrow. I wanted to actually go through all the code with you guys and give you an actual PTR patch notes because there's some stuff that has not been documented that is hidden within the PTR files, and I have diffed the PTR client, which is on the right here, and then the live client, which is on the left, and I can go through some of the things I thought were important. There are a lot of changes in here. I went through every single one of these things, and I picked out a couple of these that I thought were interesting. Some highlights, Fire Staff got fixed for Invigorated Punishment. A bunch of the weapons got some, like, block changes, which we knew. There's some Sandworm raid stuff hidden in here. There's some, like, kind of cosmetics hidden in here, but from a PvP perspective, most of it, I would say, is kind of bug fixes slash minor changes to abilities, like the radius of some abilities got increased, but let's get right into it. Uh, so fast travel that got reduced. We knew that from 300 int. Uh, Blunderbuss, there's not really anything big here, but fire stuff I believe had a few big things in here. Uh, these I'm gonna kind of skip through because nothing here is super significant. These are just like name changes in the code, kind of minor stuff, but there's some stuff in here that was pretty significant. This damage stuff got changed. I believe it was down here is where we start getting to interesting things. Do. This is where they add in the sandworm. We knew about that. It's actually on PTR, and I'm going to put up a video about that in a bit. You can see that there's some damage block reduction stuff that got put in here. So sword has damage block reduction now, along with all of the other weapons. You can see that there's some other damage types that got taken out of here. The Void Gauntlet, the actual refreshing harvest before it would take 1 second, now it takes 0.75 seconds, so it's a little bit faster of an animation than it was before, so that's a little bit of a buff to Void Gauntlet. On Warhammer, nothing big. I'm pretty sure that all these just got changed to null for some reason that I don't understand. Num free cooldowns per use. This should be the, what do you call it? Mighty Gavel. Yeah. Okay, that's just a Mighty Gavel change in there, so nothing really big there. And I'm pretty sure all these other ones are similar. There's like the mana change for Splash of Light, and I believe there's also a radius change hidden in one of these, but that's the ability data stuff that changed. Mounts, there's some stuff about mounts that have got added in here. We already knew mounts are coming. They've already talked about that, but we're kind of confirming that's in the works now. There's some stuff from the raid that got leaked in here. So sandworms, apparently there are acid ball launchers, which sounds lovely. I imagine that is going to hurt. And there is some sort of gimmick breaking walls cannon ammo. I don't know what that means, but that's probably something to do with the raid is going to have siege involved in it. There's a token increase, the maximum amount of tokens that you could have increase, along with some shop rewards that got changed in here. On consumes, they added in another con tier 5 food that lasts for 60 seconds. This is like artisan food, which is interesting. I'm pretty sure it might be event oriented. The crafting recipes got changed. It's taking a second to load in VS Code because everything is different here. But there's a lot of stuff here that got changed. I don't really want to go through this because it's just kind of gross. But they added some stuff here. Uh, there's some different damage types here. I'm pretty sure there's something bigger here. Damage table. Yep. Okay. This is some of the interesting buffs that they don't talk about from a PvP perspective. So Cyclone got a damage increase. If we go down to this next change, that's nothing. Unfortunately, I can't really look at the changes till we get to them. A blunderbuss, 0 grenade damage, no reaction, 1. I don't know exactly what that means. That probably mean it could mean like true, but normally you use true for something like that, so I don't know what that actually means. But blunderbuss got a change there. Uh, Damage got increased for the one-handed sword. So for swords attack spin, that damage just got increased overall. There's some big changes down here. There's some like rapier changes where this is flat versus scaling. Before this is like kind of scaled, now it's flat, so that's some PvE stuff, and that got changed as a whole. Some other things here. This damage got increased for
Hatchet's infected through. So if you hit someone with that, that damage is going to do a little bit more. It's like they've got from point 0.2 to point 0.4. There's a Great Axe Judgment's increase. I don't know what that actually. No, Judgment is the thing that they have in the back end for what do you call it? Reap. Reap got a damage increase in here, which we already knew about. Warhammer Armor Breaker got a damage increase, which we already kind of knew about. Fire Staff, nothing big here. They just added that stuff in. But this is the part that's like good. They added in the Fire Staff thing where it's an ability now. So what this means is that the actual what do you call it? The Invigorated Punishment will affect Fire Staff abilities. The damage from Pillar Fire got nerfed, I believe. Yeah, so Fire damage, it said 1.65 before, I believe, in game. It was actually 1.68. That got nerfed to 1.55, so it's gonna do like a bit less damage than it did before. So that's noteworthy. Oh, here's the 1.65. I don't wait, did they have a typo? Why is it 1.68 here and a 1.65? Okay, whatever, they had a typo. Uh, but all this stuff got changed to ability, which is good because they're actually using that now. So that means Fire Staff will actually work off of Invigorated Punishment. The other interesting thing in here is if I go down to where uh, where Flamethrower is categorized as an ability, so every tick of Flamethrower is going to be working off Invigorated Punishment, which means Flamethrower might actually be better DPS than autos now, because that will work off Invigorated Punishment and autos will not anymore. So that's kind of an interesting thing that they added in here. And then everything else, there's just like some other ability changes here. There's some damage coefficients that got changed, so Wind Chill is going to do a bit more damage overall. And I believe that was the last big thing, but there's like I think this is like alt related stuff at the bottom. Yeah, so this is like Sandworm, like alt related stuff, but that's all in the PTR. So that's something we can talk about in a different video a bit more. Believe that's the only thing I wanted to go over out of that. Yeah, that's the only thing. So they added in some item currency conversion stuff from the faction shop, so you can look at that. I believe in game it has these already, so probably go over that in a different video. But there are new faction shop rewards, which I've already talked about. That's just a typo fix. Typo fix, and there's some skins. Okay, so more skins, always good. They've added in the season rewards that you can see in here. So you can see all the season rewards right now. I don't really want to go over this right now. If you guys want to see that, I can make a video about it. But just know that there is going to be a Season 2 Battle Pass, which shouldn't really surprise anyone. But that exists now. They got some... So they increased the radius here of Rain of Arrows, which you already knew about. So that's going to make that a lot hit more people, because the way radius works is pi r squared, right? So when you increase that r, it's a really, really big deal. So if you take like 3 squared, that's 9. You take 4 squared, that's 16. So you're increasing it by like 7 in terms of area times pi. So it's just like a really big increase and is really understated, I think, how big of a deal that is for Rain of Arrows. This is global stuff. I don't really care about that. Life staff, the radius of Splash of Light got reduced to 25 meters versus 100. We already knew that. There's a rumor that this is affecting everyone in a raid group now, uh, which kind of makes sense because that's how the ability would work in a group. But the fact that you could heal 20 people with one ability is going to make this very, very strong for raids, unless it gets like shadow patched or something like that. This is the sandworm stuff, so that's all in there. It's apparently it does nature damage if you want to ward against it for some reason. Uh, and it lasts for 8 seconds. Is the effect lasts for 8 seconds? I believe it's a knockdown. The sword and shield, the ultimate, that's a raise to 4, which is a really, really big buff, just like Rain of Arrows. They also kept this as being ABS, which means that it's going to be old fortify, so it's going to be super, super, super strong next patch, which we already kind of knew. What did I want to talk about here? Oh yeah, they increased the fortify on greatsword. We already kind of knew about that. There were some changes here to hatchet. What's this for? The hatchet rending throw. Okay, hatchet rending throw got a increase, so that's good. We kind of already knew that though. That I don't really want to even attempt to go over. Health modify. This is splash of light, right? Yeah, splash of light got a like an increased amount of heals because the radius got reduced. And here's the sword thing, physical armor. So Whirling Blade Rend, yeah, the Rend got increased. We already knew about that, and I believe Warhammer Rend also got increased. We already knew about that. Territories, we knew about this, but in case you missed it, Hale and Hardy got removed. Stalwart also got removed. I believe the Hale and Hardy got added as sort of like a passive effect. The Stalwart, I am less sure about. This is just territory upkeep stuff. They changed something in here. If you have territory upkeep, you can scroll through this and kind of figure out what this means. I don't really know what this means, because I don't deal with that stuff usually. But I think it might be related to just adjusting all the territory because First Light is no longer a territory. They added in a riding skill, which I didn't know about, but other people said was already kind of known. So if you didn't realize that, that's a thing, along with the mounts that will be coming at some point. They made it so that the amount of influence you need to go up a level in terms of trade skills across the board got increased. So that means less attribute caches from going to higher levels for specifically for like kind of harvesting slash refining, not for stuff like Arcana though. Arcana's not on here, so that's kind of interesting. That's what all of these are. And then the last big thing, I guess, is there is a damage block stat, and along with this, there's also some changes to like the damage block and how that stuff is. I think I lost that somewhere in here, but there's a decent amount of changes on here. I'd say the biggest ones are the radius increases from a PvP perspective of Rain of Arrows and from SNS Fortify. Do I think it's good enough to the point to make bows one of Rain of Arrows? I'm not sure. There's also some damage nerfs to bows, I believe, so that is in combination with those changes could make it so that bow is in a spot where maybe Rain of Arrows is what you want to go for. But that Rain of Arrows increase, I think, is a really underrated piece and is a pretty big deal. You can see that like the Rain of Arrow bleed thing here got increased too, and there's some other changes here at the bottom. So like that rend headshot thing is a new passive that bow got. So you do a rend off the headshot now and not off a knee shot. Um and yeah, I'll see you guys on the PTR shortly and be doing more tests there, but I wanted to do like a quick summary of the changes that they actually put through onto the PTR because I feel like that there's some stuff in here that did not really make it to the patch notes that is kind of significant, and I'll see you guys in the next video.